Cajun wrap, or the superfood salad. Happy hour is served all day. Catering available for boardroom breakfasts, parties, and luncheons. If you're gluten-free, La Peep is ready for you with the largest gluten-free breakfast and lunch menu in the Treasure Valley. And they take extra care to avoid cross-contamination when they prepare food for those with celiac. Located in the Gateway Marketplace at the corner of Houston and Eagle and Meridian. Follow La Peep on Facebook for the latest offers or online at lapeep.com.
Log on to KTIK.com and click the Sweet Deals banner. Get $50 to spend at La Peep at the Gateway Marketplace for only $25. This sweet deal of the week starts Friday at 9 a.m. at KTIK.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Do you find yourself stuck in a timeshare? Get the real facts about the timeshare industry and your options for cancellation. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, beat the largest timeshare company in federal court and has put together a free information guide that reveals the secrets the timeshare industry doesn't want you to know, including the 5 ways to get rid of your timeshare. Call now and get this timeshare information guide absolutely free. Call 800-885-9700. That's 800-885-9700. 9700.
We've got your workdays covered. Jim Rome at 10, Rich Eisen at 1, and Prater in the ball game at 3. 8 hours of the best sports talk on Sports Radio The Ticket.
Hey, remember to download the new and improved KTIK app on your phone so you can stream KTIK Sports Radio wherever you are. That includes NFL games. You'll find interviews of past episodes, including the great Bobby Dye yesterday, Bronco Focus segments, you name it. We put that up, or Prater does, puts that on that app every single day. So download it. It's wonderful. Let's do our Bronco Nation news report, Prater, when we welcome in BJ Rains of Bronco Nation News. And we're going to talk Boise State NFL players, whether their stock is up or stock is down.
Yeah, at one point I thought there was a pretty good half a dozen guys on here that would maybe have a chance. And obviously George Tarlas getting hurt, that affects his impact. And maybe a couple of other players hasn't played up to what I thought that they could play. But there's still, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. We'll throw out maybe even 6 names today about Boise State NFL prospects and kind of figure it out. It all started this week when J.L. Skinner was asked about the way he's playing and what kind of NFL prospect he's coming. And he said he's playing great football. He's just not getting the highlight plays, but is J.L. Skinner still a big-time NFL prospect?
BJ, what's going on? Welcome to your segment, the BNN Report here on Idaho Sports Talk. Happy Friday to you, my friend.
Hey, what's going on? Doing good, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through certain players, BJ. We want to get your thoughts on this. As Prater said, like a lot of times the college football season, your stock will increase. Sometimes, sadly, it will decrease as far as the NFL is concerned and the combine and the draft and all that process. Well, I want to start you off with probably the biggest name in this whole picture, BJ. And let's talk J.L. Skinner first. J.L. Skinner, stock up or stock down as it sits with the NFL draft? As we all know, not having the flashy season maybe that he had last year.
Well, I will just say I did my homework for you guys, which I know is a rarity, but I did talk to a couple people that would know. I talked to at least one agent and at least a representative from 2 different NFL teams to kind of have some educated idea of what I was talking about here in terms of scouts or talent evaluators. And nothing's changed on J.L. Skinner. He's still a second, third, fourth round guy, probably second, third round guy. It's not necessarily about the stats with him. It's obviously his measurables and some of the things. And he put a lot of things on tape last year, and he's not doing anything wrong this year. He just hasn't had the chance, like he talked about earlier in the week, to make the same number of plays. So everyone's still very high on Skinner. He's going to be the first Boise State player drafted, and he's probably second or third round.
I think he's the only sure guy to be drafted. I think we all like to think that Scott Matlock's going to get a chance, but we know how those stories go around here sometimes. But I think J.L. Skinner is a lock. The only thing, he's done everything that he's supposed to do other than just create the buzz, but that's not important. It's on film, as you said, and he's got plenty of time in January, February, March to create some buzz because of the way he conducts his business. He's athletic, and he's going to shine in those kinds of environments. So I would tend to agree with you that second, third, fourth round might be a little bit high as I sit here today, but there's no doubt in my mind JL Skinner's getting drafted.
I will say, based on the folks I talked to, Scott Matlock is not the favorite to be the second player drafted.
That would not surprise me. But I'd like to know who is number 3 or number 2.
Tyreek Jones. Tyreek Jones is getting a lot of love right now from some teams and some scouts. He's a guy that, from what I was told, maybe doesn't have the upside or the ceiling of a JL Skinner, but just everything about the guy with his, what you see in terms of his size. He's a great character guy, great guy in the locker room. He's a guy that wouldn't complain about being a backup. I was told, about before this year, because he's not doing it this year, but he was a very good special teams player in previous years as well, which would be good, for the NFL. So there's just a lot to like about him. It's going to come down to what he runs. It's so crazy, but the analytics and the speed and the length of your arms and all that stuff matters more now than ever in the NFL. So a lot of these guys, Tyreek Jones included, whether he's drafted or not and where he's drafted, literally is going to come down to what he runs in his 40-yard dash, as crazy as that sounds.
All right, BJ, let me get back to Matlock for a second here.
One real quick on T. Jones before we dive into Matlock. I agree with you, and I'm intrigued by that. And one of my early preseason columns, I predicted that Tyreek Jones would have a better, sexier, splashier year than JL Skinner, because I could just see the position that he played in college and how that could impact the sex appeal and the stats. But that's the question that I want to ask moving forward. What position does Tyreek Jones play in the NFL? We talked about that in our production meeting this morning. I'm not sure he's got a traditional place to go.
He was referred to me as a, quote, safety by at least one person. So I don't know if that's something where they can move him back to where he was at safety because of the size, or if he tries to play that nickel spot or come down, into in the NFL level. That's a good question, and that's something they'd have to work out. Like I said, it sounds like he could definitely be a special teams guy and then a backup, somewhere there. But again, I was told if he runs like in the 4.6 range or the high 4.5s, he doesn't have a chance to get drafted. But if he can get the mid to low 4.5s, Tyreek Jones is a draftable player that could go anywhere from rounds 4 to 7.
I see him in a camp, no question. We'll see if he gets his name called on draft day. Scott Matlock is a guy that I would have almost guaranteed a couple of months ago gets his name called on draft day. BJ, I probably would have said day 3. That's still fine. Rounds 4 through 7. He didn't play last week. His numbers are down, but you could certainly tell me all the double teams and the schemes going against him is part of the reason for that. I just feel that Scott Matlock in the NFL, I think he's going to have to be, I thought he had to have like 9-10 sacks this year, kind of like he had last year, to say that he can be a 3-technique pass rushing problem. He hasn't been this season. What are the scouts telling you, BJ Rains, about Scott Matlock? Is he still going to get drafted?
He'd be a late round pick, day 3 guy. They said he's think Chase Baker, but better. He's a guy that could certainly stick in the NFL. They like a lot of things about him, but the quote that was told to me was he doesn't not elite NFL size. So he's a big guy, but he doesn't have elite NFL size, and also he doesn't have the longest arms either, which for a D lineman, the length of your arms is a big deal, I guess. So they like that. Everybody I talked to liked Matlock. There's some things to like about him, but there are some concerns that would keep some teams from going for sure. But O-line and D-line in the 6th and 7th rounds apparently I haven't tracked this, but apparently you see a ton of O-line and D-linemen go in the 6th and 7th rounds because you don't want to get into bidding wars for them over signing bonuses, is what somebody told me. So the chances are Matlock does go. But if we ever thought it was going to be 3rd, 4th, 5th round, it's probably looking like 6th or 7th for Scott Matlock.
Left tackle John Ojukwu, quiet. He goes about his business. He's not in the spotlight, but he always grades out very, very well. Where does John Ojukwu fit into this?
Well, I got, the good is when I asked someone to rank, someone with an NFL team to rank, and this is not maybe what they think about these guys, but the likelihood they get drafted, they actually had John Ojukwu 3rd above Scott Matlock in terms of likelihood to get drafted. And if the number was 3.5, which is what I was told, you would have Matlock right there on that 3.5 number with Ojukwu. But there's, Ojukwu's obviously, they like him a lot. He's a veteran guy, good, long, athletic guy. But what I was told was, quote, not very physical. So John Ojukwu, not super physical, at least in the eyes of some NFL scouts, but does a lot of good things. Left tackles always seem to, get drafted from Boise State. In fact, I think it's the last 6 multi-year left tackle starters at Boise State have gotten drafted. So John Ojukwu, probably does get drafted, but I don't think it's a sure thing because there's, like I said, his physicality, there was some questioning that at times.
I mean, he's probably a right tackle in the NFL versus a left tackle, and that's fine, I'm sure, with anybody, and certainly John Ojukwu. BJ,
he's also a sixth-year guy, so he's a little bit older, too.
Yeah, a little older, okay, but that can be – sometimes that can be a good thing, too, if you're not planning on having a kid past his first contract. BJ, Caleb Biggers, okay, the corner, and the Bowling Green transfer, and Boise State, man, they're going to have a bigger DB room because all those pictures of the NFL DBs on the wall, they put so many guys into the league at that position, and Biggers might not remind you of some of the other greats that have went to the NFL from Boise State. What are the scouts talking to you about Caleb Biggers? Does this kid have a chance to get drafted? And if not, why not?
Not sure about drafted, but I think he certainly has a chance to get into a camp. Maybe he could be a 6th, 7th round guy, but I would think a free agent deal is probably a little more likely for him. What I was told is there was some concern about his speed. Again, Biggers is going to be a guy that it's going to come down to what he tests at the combine. If he runs a really low number, there's certainly a chance he could get drafted, but I know there was some concern with his speed. So it's going to come down to the testing a lot for a guy like Caleb Biggers. But a scout, an agent actually that I talked to did say that he had a chance to be a late round draft pick, but I think he's further down the list than all these guys.
George Holani, he can go, he could stay. I would suspect he's going to stay. But if he finishes this season strong and explosive, maybe he's got a chance. What do you think about George Holani?
One of the NFL scouts I talked to said he should go solely because he's a running back, and it's just you're a running back. And he has a good season. It's hard to back that up again, especially the two negatives obviously are the injury concerns and his speed concerns as well. He's not the fastest guy out there. What George Holani runs, if he does go out and go to the pro day or the combine or whatever, what the 40 time would be for George Holani would have a huge say in what ends up happening to him. But he was a guy that let me see if I can read my notes here. Day three guy, maybe 6th, 7th round, but not a sure thing. He would be below probably Matlock and OJ, but again, does a lot of nice things, but not the fastest guy. And also the injury concerns would scare some teams.
That's going to be interesting. The Holani decision, come back and run this back, or, we saw Cyrus Habibi-Likio say, you know what, I gotta get to the pros. I'm wasting all my time in college. And we all kind of said, well, maybe Holani has a better chance than CHL did, obviously. But yeah, that position, it's tricky, BJ. I can talk NFL draft all day.
I got three more guys.
Quickly.
Well, we got George Tarlas. I was told that he's still, if he can recover, still is a guy that scouts liked. He probably would have gotten drafted if he didn't get hurt.
Wow.
He was a guy that had, quote, turned the corner, high effort guy. They really liked him, and they knew about him from Weber because he was the best prospect on their team there. Tyreek LaBeouf is a name that came up multiple times as well, a 6'2 corner, even though he's splitting time right now, and he does have his COVID year left, so that could change some things. But I was told priority free agent, like a nice signing bonus, like a priority guy could be Tyreek LaBeouf. And may disappoint Jay Tuss and some others, but heard absolutely nothing on Jonah Dalmas.
You were talking about that in the meeting today, Prater, saying Jonah Dalmas is not going to the pros this year.
No.
He may go. He may end up going based on what I've heard, but he hasn't, from what I'm told.
Yeah.
Very few kickers get drafted anyway, and he has not too much thoughts on Dalmas.
He's a sophomore, too. Sophomore, the COVID year, I believe, BJ. Listed as a junior maybe on the roster. All good, BJ. The coverage, pregame, postgame, BroncoNationNews.com. Follow BJ Rains. We appreciate you on a Friday, BJ. We got Corey Hall in 25 minutes. We're excited about that. Thanks, BJ.
Yeah, appreciate it, guys. See you tomorrow.
Good stuff. Andy Avalos was talking about the possible weather issues for tomorrow night against BYU. You might be surprised at what he had to say. JP has that in the news update. It's next. We're Prater on the ball game. You got yourself Idaho Sports.